Hey brothers, Kalyo here, the homecoming son. If there's one thing that we men must know, then it is that we are true kings and that we have a kingdom to run, the kingdom that is our lives. A man that is not fully embodying the king archetype is not yet a man. He's just a boy running around in an adult body, waiting for mom and dad to tell him what to do. And I see plenty of those kind of men around. You don't grow into being a real man with age. Growth comes from consciously developing, and we can only consciously develop into something we know what is. So you need to know what you want to become it. At least have some vague idea about what that is. And we men need to grow into real men, true kings. So in today's video, I'm gonna portray for you who that king is, what it is we must aspire to become, how we become it, and how when we are a real king, we best manage our kingdom. Now the kingdom has 5 realms, and we need to effectively govern these realms to effectively govern our kingdom. So if you're ready, let's dive into it. And as always, leave me your thoughts in the comments below and I'll make sure to get back to you. So first off, let's dive into what it means to be a true king and why it is that we really can't call ourselves real men before we are embodying this archetype. So that the king is an archetype means that it's a primordial part of our consciousness, meaning that the king is a symbol of a behavioral pattern, a pattern of behavior that is inherent to the masculine human experience. So try to look at it like this. We all grow as human beings, right? And as we grow, we take on different archetypes. For example, when you are a teenager, you take on the warrior archetype, right? You revolt against the beliefs and ideas of your parents. You have to shed the old to make way for the new, to make way and find your truth and live life by your core values. Now you might find as you get older that a lot of the stuff you were taught by your parents or society is useful, but still you have to mold and shape it to your uniqueness, to live by your truth. The warrior is extremely good at revolting against the past, getting rid of what doesn't serve us any longer and make way for the new. So we take on and embody the warrior archetype when we are teenagers. And as we grow up, we shed that archetype and we grow into another archetype. We embody another archetype. But the warrior is not gone from our consciousness, right? We already learned that behavior. We have it stored in our subconscious. And so in your older days, you can take on the warrior when you need to. For example, if you have a breakup or if you lose a dear friend or a parent or the like, now you might want to take on the warrior and shed again what doesn't serve you so that you can move on with your life in a healthy manner. So these archetypes makes up our consciousness. They are patterns of behavior because they are inherent to the human experience. Now the king archetype we must embody as we become grown men. Without fully embodying the king archetype, you don't know what it is to be a real man. So the king knows who he is, he knows what he stands for, and he knows what he wants and how to get it. He's that centered pillar. He is order itself. People know that they can trust in him because he has principles, laws if you will, and he follows them. These are his core values and he acts in alignment with them. He has integrity. So he is that pillar of rightful action that people can trust in and follow as a competent and good leader. Thus, he's a good father, right? He's a good husband and he's a good man to lead a company. People always gravitate towards the king because he always encourages the best in others, knowing his power and knowing the truth that his power only increases the more he shares it with others. He always encourages growth, creativity, self-expression in others. So you can see again why the king is a good father and a good leader in general. The king is decisive because he knows what he stands for. He knows his core values and he stands by them. Even in the most difficult situations, he knows how to take the best solution. A solution that might sacrifice something in the short term, but will be the best for the community in the long term. Lastly, the king always leaves a legacy. He lives his life in a beautiful manner that inspires others to live the life to the best of their abilities. Do the best with the cards that they have been dealt. But the king, like any other archetype, leaves a shadow. And in the example of the king, he leaves 2 shadows. He leaves the weakling and he leaves the tyrant. These shadows we fall into when it is that we are in the grip of trauma, or it is that we don't have the strength to take on the responsibility that comes with acting out the king. Then we fall into the shadow. And either we fall into the weakling or we fall into becoming a tyrant. We must be aware of this, to not fall into these shadows and find the light. So in the example of the weakling, we become a weakling when it is that we are not strong enough to take on the responsibility of being a true king. When it is that we don't know how to use that power, and we therefore abdicate the throne to others, give away our power, give away the power to use our life force to do good in this world to others, so that they must do whatever they want to do with it. Now, people that gladly take on the power from others, typically these people are not up to any good. And we end up sacrificing our own life force to live out some sick fantasy of either a collective or an individual. This might be spending a lifetime working for a company that is not aligned with our core values. It might be spending a lifetime leading a political career, furthering the course of companies that are not furthering the good positive growth of the soil and the earth. And if it is that a good man with a good cause take away our power from us because we abdicated to him, and we now use our life force living out his dream. Even in that scenario, because we are not being true to ourselves, because we are not living in alignment with our truth, well, resentment and bitterness builds up. And we all know that a resentful and bitter man, that's a dangerous man. We gotta stay true to ourselves. And staying true to ourselves means taking on the responsibility and use our power to live in alignment with our core value. Now the tyrant, we grow into that shadow when it is that we think, mistakenly of course, that our power is finite and scarce. This of course is a complete misunderstanding, right? Our power only increases the more we expand it and share it with others. No man ever built a whole nation by himself, right? A nation is built because power is shared by the millions. It's the same with money. If I have $1 and I just keep it to myself, that dollar's worth is never gonna expand and increase. But if I now take this dollar and go to the store and buy something for it, I get value for that $1, and now another man has $1 to get value for. Thus, we get value for $2. And the more that dollar is spent, the value that the dollar has bought, has manifested into this world, has increased. Power increases the more we expand it and share it with others. But the tyrant, not wanting to share his power, becomes afraid of losing it, right? And this, of course, gives way to a deep insecurity. Well, he can't trust anybody. He can't trust anybody with his power, so he becomes insecure. He becomes fearful. And we have seen many examples of what happens to men when they get into this state. Just name any of the tyrants throughout history. Stalin, Hitler, etc. They all became mad, insane from insecurity and fear, because they thought their power was finite and they tried to hold on to it instead of freely sharing it with others and encouraging the best in others. Instead of building nations, they destroyed nations. This becomes very evident in the example of Stalin, right? The enemy first was something out there, right? It was the bourgeoisie, it was the capitalists, and it ended up being that the enemies was his own generals. Now he couldn't even trust his own generals because they wanted to share the power with him, and he didn't want to share that power. He thought he had only so much, and if he gave some to them, he would lose it. So he had to kill them. This is how you destroy yourself, your kingdom, and your nation. Okay, so now that we know the image of the king, we have that man portrayed in front of us, we know what to aspire to, and we know the shadows to keep away from, and maybe we are lost in one of them. Now we know how to grow out of it. Now it is time to look at the kingdom that is our life. Our life has 5 domains. The kingdom has 5 realms, right? The interpersonal realm, the family realm, the professional career realm, the community realm, and the economical realm. We gotta govern these 5 realms to effectively govern our kingdom. Now, to grow into a true king, to become a real man, we always start with the interpersonal realm, right? We always start with ourselves. We gotta get this right. We gotta get our physiology right and our psychology right. When we know how to effectively govern the body and mind, we can now start taking charge of the other realms that makes up the kingdom. But this is the core, the interpersonal realm. We take charge of this realm and truly master it once we have mastered the 4 principles of self-mastery. If you want to check those out and learn how you can get to master these principles, then check out my previous video, the 4 principles of self-mastery. Find it right up there in the corner. Once we have mastered the interpersonal realm, we got our body and mind in order. We now have the neurotransmitter balance that keep us sane, that keeps our mind well functioning, and we now have the hormonal balance. We now have a body that makes us feel good and energized, ready to go out and make the best of our power. The next realm is that of the family. Family is extremely important. These people live inside of you. Even people that neglect their family, that doesn't talk to their brothers and sisters or other family members, it grows inside of them. Conflicts between families are the first cause of cancer. You hold these people inside of you. Often you care more about them than you care about yourself. This is why you either have a love or a hate relationship to a sibling. You can't simply just not care. Another thing is that we often find our dream team members within our family. Your dream team members are the people that support you in realizing your dream. Look, we live in a life of co-creation. As I've alluded to before, you can't build a nation by yourself, right? You have to do it by sharing your power with others. The same counts in realizing your dream. You can't go out and realize and manifest your dream all by yourself. You need people to co-create with, and the people that want to do that for you. The people that support you in realizing your dream, these are your dream team members. If we don't manage this realm well, if our relationships within the family starts to grow toxic, it will infiltrate into the other realms of our kingdom. The third kingdom is that of your professional career. This is extremely important, how you share your passion with the world, how you manifest and make use of your gift. Look, if you don't share your gift, if you don't live out your passion in this life force is gonna be drained out of you. Life is gonna feel meaningless. You gotta sing the song of your soul. We are all gifted with the uniqueness of our being, and there will always be something that you are good at. You have a certain skill, you have a character trait, you are born into a unique circumstance. All of this plays together and molds you and gives you your gift and makes up your passion. Now it is up to you to canalize this passion into the world and manifest something beautiful out of it. Again, not managing this realm well, not sharing our passion, our gift with the world, will make this realm stand in chaos, stand like that element in our kingdom that is always revolting. And this revolt will spread into the rest of our realms. And if not dealt with, be that toxic element in our life that can take down the whole kingdom. And the fourth realm is that of community. Look, we are flock animals. We live as a pack. We need others to experience our life through. How does that person react when I say this? What does this person think when I say that? We are dependent on others for happiness. That's just a fact. So what kind of friend do you want to be? What kind of friends do you want to have? How often do you need to see friends? What kind of living situation do you want to have? Do you need community around you? Do you need a men's group? Do you need men to keep you accountable? All of these things are extremely important to get clear on. What are your requirements from a community? What kind of community life do you need? And lastly, we have the economical realm. This is all about your monetary energy. Think of it this way. So look, you have a separate being, but you are attached to it. You are one with it. It's attached to you like something like an arm or a leg, but it serves you in a symbiotic relationship like something like a dog. Now you need to feed it or a part of you dies and you'll have to depend on others for your survival. But you can also over time teach it to feed itself, and in the long run, if you're smart, you can even teach it to feed you. You get the metaphor? You see, money is what sustains you. You wouldn't be alive if it wasn't because money bought you the life force in the form of food and commodities. This is just the reality of the modern setting that we live in. You can't go out and hunt your own deer anymore. You can't just build a house anywhere and be completely off grid. It's not possible. You have to pay taxes, you have to pay for regulations, all sorts of things. Money is required to buy you the life force energy that will allow you to live. So it's inseparable from you, and you better make it a good friend, like a dog that you love. So now, why do I make the analogy of a living creature like a dog or an arm? Well, because money is energy. It's monetary energy. Where food is life force energy, money is monetary energy. Look, when you're in need of money, how do you feel? You get anxious, right? You can't really think of anything else than money. count your pennies and save your money, and you're gonna be thinking of ways to make more money. It's exactly like if you're hungry for food. When you're starving for food, you can't think of anything else than food. You can't think of anything else than what your next meal is gonna be or how you're gonna get it. This is because in both cases you are in an energy deficit, the result of which on a psychological level is the same. So monetary energy has approximately the same effects as food energy does. And now what have we been doing for thousands of years that has made civilizations flourish, humanity flourish? We have kept livestock that can propagate itself. We have planted grains and other vegetables that has been able to propagate themselves year after year, giving yield. So the same thing we need to do with our monetary energy. We need to plant a seed that year after year can grow stronger and give more and more yield. This is how you teach the dog to feed you in the end. And this is how you realize financial independence. Look, this is the mindset of the rich, and this is the mindset you gotta adopt if you wanna become rich. It's not about making billions, right? It's just about making the dog feed you and not you being a slave to the dog. Alright, so that's it for now. You now know what it means to be a true king. You now have an archetypical character to mirror yourself in. You now know what to strive towards and what to get away from. You now have direction as a man, and that's the first step to become a true king. That's all for now, brothers. Love and chi.